right, Jenny, we've been hearing from Jan and Julie about this moment that we're in, and now we're going to get into the work itself, what the next chapter actually looks like on the ground. And those of you watching, get your phone ready because there's going to be some QR codes on the screen here in just a minute. We're going to be asking some questions. Listen, whether you're a survey person or not, I don't always love taking a survey, but mainly I don't always love taking a survey because I feel like sometimes I spend all this time answering questions, Jenny, and then like it just sort of goes on a shelf somewhere or is ignored. I want to assure all of you that we got several questions we're going to ask all of you coming up here, but this is all really, really critical information that we need as we're designing not only this next year, but the next decade. So I'm hoping that we can know kind of which area your ecosystem is most focused on right now. Jenny, like I think this is a good example as people are answering this. Can you give us just sort of like the 30-second version of, a question like this, which is, seems a kind of a surface question, but how are you going to use that as you're designing, this next outlay?
Well, I think one of the most important things to remember is that ties in its role as convener, right, as knowledge broker, and as well as networker, that part of our role is to really understand the pulse of the community and to be able to identify those kinds of resources, those kinds of tools that are needed in order to advance the field.
All right, so Jenny, I'm seeing these answers come in. And I think we're pretty close. I think it's important to mention that I see some smaller numbers for things like advocacy and just getting started, but please know that all of these sort of topics are critical to the initiative and will maintain focus. But I do see two very strong leads there: workforce and pathways at 41% of respondents, and partnerships and alignment at 35%.
This is validating to me. So that's another way I'm going to use this data, Jeremy, is that this is incredibly validating. Number one is that, at the center of STEM ecosystems and what makes, I think, us unique, what is our value proposition, is the power of partnerships. So to see that in one of the top spaces right now and recognizing that partnership and alignment with our local communities, the needs of our communities, our regional, local spaces, to me, that should always be at the forefront of the work that we're focused on.
I think we're going to move on to the next component. We're operating in this really different environment than even just a year ago, let alone 5 years ago. The massive disruption of AI and growing, along with a potential bubble pop as well, shifting federal priorities, workforce urgency. What do you think about what STEM ecosystems need to be in this moment?
Well, I just said it and I'm going to say it again. I do think it's a reframe, right? For quite some time, I think that STEM and the work that we've been doing is about exposure, right? It's been about defining STEM, about, creating opportunities for awareness, getting kids into labs, getting partners in the door. And that was incredibly important work. But as we move into this next decade, we start to think about 2035, right? I think we're all starting to recognize that that isn't enough. And so this is kind of a great moment that requires a shift. And I think that shift is from, this general STEM ecosystem perspective of the coordinator and the knowledge broker to now the architect of intentional system design. And so, our first beat here today, we're going to talk a little bit about STEM ecosystems as STEM talent activation systems. So the learning, the skills, the opportunity connected by design. It's not random. It's not accidental, but it is built. And STEM ecosystems are poised as the experts in this space. You've already been building toward this. So the question is, are we doing it by design? Or are we doing it by default? So what does the shift need to be? It needs to go from fragmented systems to connected learning and opportunity. And that is moving us and all of the wonderful things that STEM ecosystems are, right? Cross-sector by design, partnership as, our powerful jumping off point into this new kind of space where we become these talent activation centers. So, when business and industry saying, hey, we've got this huge talent gap today, tomorrow, 10 years down the road. Who do we seek out? Who are the experts in this space that are going to help us to design the architecture that we need to activate talent in our communities? I want STEM ecosystems to be the name on the map. I want us to be the experts in the space. So let's talk a little bit more about what that's going to look like. We've got a three-phase. This is kind of our strategic vision. We're always looking for people from the field to tell us, yes, this is where we think, suggestions, comments. We've had our leadership coordinating council give input into this as well. So what do we see in this next couple of years? We're talking about field intelligence and alignment. So what we really want to dive into is what is the talent landscape? We want to be able to define STEM, not STEM in academia, but STEM as we think about it in career potential. It's probably one of the simplest aha moments that I've had is that just having a conversation about what a STEM career is, what the STEM sectors are, and what are all the opportunities is the first thing that we can do. It's the common language and making sure that we are all talking the same lingo, whether it's education, industry, informal, out of school time, formal. We all have to be on the same page about what we are speaking about. So, what does that mean? It means that we've got to get together and we've got to do the good work. And that includes regional convenings and it includes mapping our STEM ecosystems using these vocabulary and criterion reference strategies. Don't worry, I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. Next part, this is phase 2, years 2 through 5. We're hoping to do innovation and regional incubation. So let's practice, let's pilot, let's observe, and let's see whether or not our theory of practice is relevant and we can change into these talent activation centers. And finally, let's take that model, let's replicate it, let's scale it, and not just in our region, but globally.
I'm also really excited about Jenny, and I think that what we need to do next, if you're up for it, is to really kind of make this real. You talked about what a talent activation system kind of looks like. So now I'm hoping that folks can kind of rate themselves and be brutal, be honest about those 6 dimensions of readiness. 1, not yet. And 5, we've got this. We're the pros. We're the exemplars that you should be, showing other folks. And please be straight. If you're at that 5, we want to know so that we can, help put you in front of folks. And if you're at that 1, we want to know so that we can help pair you with folks who can help.
So, what are you seeing so far, Jeremy?
One of my favorites here is one of the lowest. It's the ecosystem visibility and influence, and the reason I call that out is I always find it interesting. There are some ecosystems that we could point out that are incredibly good at this, but broadly, a lot of ecosystems are run by educators, nonprofit leaders who aren't used to saying, "Look at me, look at me, look at what we're doing, look at this organization, look at what we're doing."
Yes.
And it's hard for me, believe it or not, as loud as I am in these things. It's hard for me to sort of advocate outside because I come from that, educator background and I just want to do the work. But it's such a critical thing to, to grow gains, to continue to grow funding. So it seems like that's potentially a major focus area for the national initiative or the international initiative is to help folks with that visibility and regional influence. So what's our next beat?
Well, STEM ecosystems are coming to a town near you. I cannot tell you how many times I have been asked about convenings, and I'm not saying, and actually, to be quite honest with you, that's a really positive thing because I know that at the center of convenings is that face-to-face networking is so incredibly important. And so I want to be clear that national global STEM convenings are not going away, but this moment calls for for something that is a little bit more workshop work related. So, regional convenings, we are going to bring the work to you. These are going to be 1.5 day focused leadership convenings designed around three things. Number one, aligning with industry and understanding real regional workforce demands. That's number one. Number two, designing flexible pathways. We call these braided rivers. There's tons of different names. It is very nuanced. It is very complicated. But what we know is that it's got to be skills based and competency based. It's got to have multiple on and off ramps and support systems in place. And most importantly, it is not one size fits all. That is what the work that we are going to do looks like. And number three, building future ready skills, AI literacy, STEM literacy, workplace competency. I cannot hear one more time from employers that our young people are just not prepared for the workplace environment. This is where the systems are going to get built, and it's no longer just a discussion or a critical conversation. This is us doing the work together in the same room, in a town where you are.
Wonder, so like, are we going to think about where these regional convenings are like like what's the structure there? We're just going to sort of pick at random. How are we going to think through this?
Well, there's two pieces to this. The first piece is that if you want an ecosystem convening in your town, you're going to reach out to us and we're going to see if we can coordinate that together. Although every single regional convening will have a similar experience in how the agenda rolls out, every single regional experience will also highlight a specific STEM sector that is appropriately aligned to that region's careers and talent opportunities. So here's a quick question. At each of the convenings, I talked a little bit about the structure of the agenda. It's going to have these things: peer learning, real implementation examples. This is our traditional classic E to E's, right? We're going to have opportunity for business, our industry relationships and networking. We're going to talk a little bit about STEM ecosystems in the role of architecting talent and pathway design. We're going to obviously look into tools to be able to analyze talent, right? And have that talent intelligence. And there's an opportunity to learn about the evolving workforce demands, right? So I want to know, what do you find most valuable?
Jenny, and as I look at number one too, I think it's worth mentioning that we're talking about these regional convenings coming up. That's not a foregoing of the big national convening. We're
Nope.
sort of thinking about some new structures that allow for both. But a thing to be thinking about as you're answering this question is your needs from a regional convening might be different than your needs from a national convening. So as you're answering this, make sure you're thinking about those regional convenings.
So, all right, are you ready for beat number three?
Yeah, we've been talking about it a little bit here and there, but let's get into a little further advocacy.
Advocacy is everyone's job. And I will tell you, in this last year, I feel that Ties, our team, has had an incredible partnership with the STEM Education Coalition and with the After School Alliance. Anita, Leslie, Della, and James. I cannot tell you how much I have really appreciated the support from all of our communities working together to bring together the STEM talk. Because let's be honest, this last year has been a lot. And I think that the thing that I needed help with as a leader in this space was to better understand the policy and the funding landscape. And I feel like the After School Alliance, I feel like the STEM Education Coalition with the STEM Talks every month have been an incredible resource to develop our knowledge and competency around policy and advocacy, to be able to understand the connection between in and out of school. STEM happens everywhere. And, that message has been there. And also important, to really, recognize that advocacy is a hat that we need to wear more often than we are currently wearing. And I think that you can see that in national and global conversations right now, right? About the value and importance of science, the value and importance of math, and recognizing that we have to come together as communities of practice to start to have really hard conversations about how we're going to address these things and how we're going to create better systems that are more aligned and provide opportunity for everyone. So I'm really looking forward to that. What I want to ask you right now is, where are you finding that hardest part of your work in advocacy? When I talk with folks about why they're not in advocacy, what's preventing them from doing this good work, these are generally the pain points that I'm hearing. As people are going through, I will tell you one of the things that I'm most proud of, with the work that we've done with STEM Education Coalition and the After School Alliance, is creating an online community. We will share that link and resource with you. I hope that you sign up. But we do have an online community that is completely dedicated to help you with these particular pain points.
So we've got, vision. We've talked about the convenings. We've been talking about advocacy. These are three pretty powerful levers, but they also, like on the surface, might seem a little disparate and not connected. So what actually ties it together? Is there sort of like an infrastructure that makes this network function as one thing?
Folks, it's time for us to revisit the map. It's time for us to revisit our commitment to the community of practice. And it's time for us to create a criterion reference map. And when Julie said in her remarks, when we call, pick up the phone, I'm going to be emailing you a form that's going to ask you about your STEM ecosystem. And I want you to take advantage of this opportunity, because that opportunity does two things. Number one is it creates validity and it creates credibility with the global community of practice, right? When you can say statistics like there are over 120 STEM ecosystems in 44 states in 8 different countries, every time I state that statistic, people's eyes perk up, right? Wow, that's impressive. And quite frankly, it is. But what's missing from that picture are the individual stories of those STEM ecosystems. A criterion reference map allows us, in our job and role as the networking creator, is to provide you with opportunities. So when we better understand where your ecosystem is working, who your ecosystem is working for, what STEM sectors your STEM ecosystem is expert in, then we can do a much, much better job of connecting you with the partners, with the funders, with the philanthropy. It gives us more fodder, more data for when we want to go after big grants, NSF grants, collaboratively, collectively. And right now, we do not have the community data in order for us to be able to do that good work.
Jenny, I just put a question in the chat, but I'm going to say it out loud as well. To those of you listening, if your ecosystem is connected to a live network of funding, partners, and peer ecosystems, what would you do first? This is all done. If everybody had already done it, all the information in the world was there and ready to go, and you were in, your executive team meeting or your strategic planning meeting, how would you use that data and sort of what would you do first?
I'm hopeful that, we're going to see more opportunity to connect and more opportunity for you to see that there are so many people out there who want to amplify your message, champion your work, give you resources and support, want to know how they can contribute to the work. And this is the beginning. This is the first step of how we can empower our entire community.
We're big believers in the concept of commitment that if you put it out there, not only does it make it more likely for it to happen, but also sometimes frequently other folks will be listening, they'll see your commitment and they'll say, hey, we've done something like this, or we have resources that could support that work. So if you could complete this sentence in the next 90 days, I commit to what? In my STEM ecosystem work. Thank you so much for joining all of us today. We hope that you've learned a few new things. We hope that you're looking forward to and excited for this sort of next phase and evolution of both leadership at Ties, but also how we're going to be interacting at these regional levels through Jenny and all of her work. You will be getting all this information via email and all of the channels. You'll get your recordings and your slides and all of those things. But we're very, very excited to continue this work with all of you. So thank you all, and we will see you all next time. Thanks, everyone.